Nope, we ain't talking about ribs today. We're talking about trail communications. Stick around. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Clint. So I've had this subject come up several times here recently on the YouTube channel and in my personal Jeep club. Especially with new folks coming in, they want to know what's the best way to communicate on the trail. Well, for years it was CB. CB is short for Citizens Band, and we're all familiar with it from way back in the 70s when Bandit and Snowman were running from Buford T. Justice hauling an illegal load of Coors. Most folks my age have been around CBs for a pretty long while. But here over the last few years, there's been a migration from CB to GMRS, which until just a few years ago, I'd never heard of. I didn't know anything about it. So when it got to the point where I was riding with people and I would try to find out what channel we were going to be on for comms, I started hearing more and more of, we're not on CB, dude, we're on GMRS. So to stay up with the times, I started doing some investigation. I gotta say, I'm not an expert in this subject matter, but I've done enough research that I feel confident in what I am relaying to y'all will be accurate. But I do want to say, take the information that I give in this video and do your own research. So basically what I come to understand is you mainly have two bands of frequencies. You have VHF, which is your ham radios and most of your state police and basically almost all law enforcement are going to be on the VHF bandwidth. The UHF bandwidth covers FRS, which is your two-way walkie-talkies that you'll buy at Walmart. There's a set of frequencies within the UHF band dedicated to FRS. And the exact same thing goes with CB and GMRS. FRS, CB, and GMRS are all in the UHF band. They're just different sets of frequencies within that band. The main problem with FRS with regard to trail communications is everybody's got to have the exact same walkie-talkie, and honestly the range really isn't that good on them. CB makes it a little bit easier because all everybody has to have is a CB and y'all just tune to the same channel. The problem with CBs is you have to mount an antenna and you have to have your SWR right so you don't burn your CB up, and like this whole deal with napalm, running my CB antenna was a huge pain. Now on my JK, my SWR was great. I had a good mounting point, everything worked extremely well, but for whatever reason, and I have a pretty good idea what it is, but even running a ground wire, I never could get a good SWR reading with this setup on napalm. So the more and more I started running into people on the trails with GMRS, I finally went and did it. So let's talk about the three types of radios that I personally have. This is the CB I used for years. This is the Midland 75-822. It's very similar to the popular Cobra model. I think it's WX75 or something like that. But I chose this one over the Cobra because you can remove this. This is where the cord is that plugs into your CB antenna, and you can just plug it into a cigarette lighter or whatever for your power. But you can take this off, and it comes with a battery pack you can shove on it. You can take it out of your vehicle. For trail comms, it was real. So when I finally decided to make the transition to GMRS, I talked to a lot of my friends, found out what radios they were using and so on and so forth, and then I went online. I went to YouTube, I searched forums. A lot of the information that I got were from the ham radio crowd. So the most common radio you're going to see is going to look like this. This is the Baofeng UV5R. They have several different models of this radio. That's actually not the radio I ordered. I ordered the Baofeng BF-F8 They discontinued that radio, and they sent, this was what replaced it. The radio that I have is the UV5R TP, which the TP stands for tri-power. So the deal with the tri-power is it has 3 different power settings, 3, 5, and 8 watts. That would be awesome, except the UHF bandwidth, which is what GMRS is on, has a power limit. If I am correct, and you guys who know, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but during my research, I think I remember it saying that 2 watts was the maximum power output you could use on GMRS. So what that means is that radio is illegal to use on any UHF frequency, because even on the lowest power setting, it's maxed out. Now here's the caveat to that. More often than not, when we're wheeling, we're out away from everybody, and chances are, if you're using that radio on a GMRS frequency, you're not going to interfere with anything else going on. There's nothing illegal about owning that radio. The only time it becomes illegal is when you key the handset up to transmit. So take that with a grain of salt. Do with that information as you please. What you want to look for, in my opinion, in a radio is a radio that is FCC Part 90 compliant. And just to add some information to that, don't think, well, it's a Chinese radio, I'll just go buy a Rugged Ridge. Guess what? The Rugged Ridge is a baofeng UV5R with a blue case on it. And if you do your due diligence, you will look and see that Rugged Ridge is in trouble with the FCC. So just to cover my own ass, the second radio I bought was the BTEC GMRS V1. The cool thing about this radio is it is FCC Part 90 compliant, which means this radio is legal to use on the GMRS frequencies. It is a dual band. It is UHF and VHF. The cool thing about the VHF feature is, though, you can tune it to any frequency on the VHF band and monitor. You can listen all day long. Even if you key the handset, it will not transmit. The other cool thing about this little radio is all the GMRS frequencies are pre-programmed in. You can't change them. Even with the Chirp software, you can't change them. The only thing you can do is add frequencies like the NOAA weather frequencies. You can even add marine frequencies if you want to. But you can't change the GMRS frequencies already pre-programmed into them. It's a right out of the box, ready to use radio on the trail. Here's the deal with the GMRS frequencies. You do need a license issued by the FCC to legally transmit. But unlike the VHF band, where all your ham guys are, there's no test. You just go to the FCC website, find your GMRS license, fill out an application, pay the fee, and they'll issue your license with your call sign. The deal with the GMRS license is anybody in your immediate family can legally transmit under your license on the GMRS frequencies. When I got my license, it cost $70, but it's supposed to drop to $35. It may already have. I don't know. I've already got my license. I didn't look into it. But those licenses are good for 10 years. You can pick this baofeng UV5R up for anywhere between 30 and 50 bucks. Now, it doesn't come with this antenna. It comes with just a little rubber ducky. This is an aftermarket antenna that I added to it. The BTEC GMRS V1 can be picked up for around 35 bucks. I will have links to both of these radios in the description below. Y'all, I hope this video gave you some insight, gave you some knowledge, gave you something to think about. If you're new to the Jeep community, or if you're just new to off-roading and looking at trail comms, GMRS is the way to go. It seems to be what everybody's going to now. For any of y'all experts out there, if you have anything to add, or if you want to rebut anything that I've said, if I was wrong in anything that I said, feel free, throw it down in the comments, because this is an informative video, and I want the viewers to get the correct information. Leave opinions out of it, because they're like assholes. Everybody's got one. Y'all remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Till next time, keep the shiny side up, and Jeep on!